known about Iman for quite a while through the entrepreneurial grapevine.
Speaking of grapes, cheers.
Cheers. Little wine and conversation. We haven't planned too much of this. I have some questions.
We also have to get to Jazz Bar in an hour.
So we have an hour.
An hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. But yeah, Iman is a very successful young man. His life's cool. He's got a good vibe. And so, Iman, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, very difficult childhood, very weird, pretty fucked up situations happened to you. Got it to the point where you're 22 now, and what's happening now? I mean, you've how many? 6 businesses? 5? And they're all
5, yeah,
like $250,000 a week or something like that.
Overall, $250,000 a week, yeah. Last year did just right around 10 million, pre-tax that is, but I moved to Dubai, so I didn't end up having to pay too much tax last year. So very close to almost $10 million net last year. I will say most of that came from investments. I mean, yeah, just did very well with investments last year. This year, going to be doing around 10 million at a minimum, I think, again. This time, I think majority of that actually coming through the businesses. Businesses have really, really, really taken off this year. And yeah, multiple businesses, 8, very simple, like very unsexy. Advertising agency I've had for 6 years. That's what I started when I was still in school. And then that was the reason why I dropped out of school. From that, e-learning education company that helps agency owners, people that want to start and actually grow an advertising agency and, sort of build a lifestyle business. That's one demographic we help. And then the people who are kind of more serious like I am, who are actually trying to build a 150K a month agency like I did. And then from that spawned that. And then this spawned a software company. So we have a software company that is basically the all-in-one solution for agency owners who, basically want to have a better client experience for their agency clients. That's, as I said, through a software that's built specifically for agency owners. So it's very unsexy, but whatever. It pays the bills, I guess.
And then you've got the NFT project, which is a little bit of the reason that I'm out here. Aside from the vibes, but we can talk more about that stuff later. Let's talk about stuff we actually you don't normally talk about on interviews. I would hope. We talked about a little today. We're sitting in Cartier, and I was like, "Do you ever think about NPCs, non-player characters, basically people who haven't woken up in the Matrix yet?" My question is, if you remember, I'm very fascinated by this. Like if you remember an exact moment in time, did you realize your own existence? Like, did you wake up and go, holy shit, I'm a human. I'm on a rock rotating around the sun. Like, when was that for you? How old were you?
Yeah, probably like 7 or 8.
Wow.
Yeah. 7, 8, 9.
Wow.
Yeah. 100%.
So describe what happened, like the exact moment, if you can remember.
Well, I think, I always say, like, I have respect for all religions, and I'm actually not religious per se. I have respect for all religions except for atheists. I would never get into business with an atheist. I don't trust atheists. It's just fucking depressing.
I was an atheist for like a year. It's the midwit phase.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I can also understand like nihilists. Sometimes I feel almost a little nihilistic, but I don't think that's the best part of me coming out. So the reason I say this is because I was like 7 or 8 or 9. And bear in mind, I said I give you guys like a very, very vanilla version of what happened in my childhood. Like my childhood was the most fucking dark, traumatic thing ever. Like I still have flashbacks and stuff. And like actually here's something I've never said publicly. I have really, really bad night sweats. Like really bad nights. Still, I have really bad, because there's stuff that's just in your subconscious. Like,
yeah,
I live, and you could never tell that I had like a really, really, really fucked up traumatic childhood, because that's stuff that you consciously you can work on and this and that. But there's stuff that's so deep rooted in your, and like when you sleep, like that's so deep rooted in your subconscious that it's like, that would probably take another couple decades, to really alleviate that. So yeah, I said I had a very, 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 very difficult childhood, and And for that reason, I started praying really young. When I was like 7, 8, 9, I would always, you know, I would, well, actually, yeah, I would have been like 8 years old because I didn't have my own bedroom until I was 8 years old. So when I was 8, I finally got my own bedroom, and yeah, I would sit on the bed and then put my like right next to the ledge of the window, right next to the ledge of the window, and I hope my mom doesn't see this, but I would either look up or down. I'd look down because I was on the 3rd floor, so I'd be like, I wonder what would happen if I jump. So I'd either look down
when you're 7 or 8.
Yeah, 100%.
I had the same thoughts when I was 15. Yeah, around 15, 16.
What brought you to that?
For me, it was the repetitive negative thinking patterns, and just, I don't know. I mean, just, it was like, for me, it was like a 3 or 4 year span where just every thought in my brain was negative, and I'd like drown it out by just trying to distract. But then I was driving to school every day, high school, and like I just remember driving, and every single day, just the thought would be like, just pull over into a tree, and I was just like, the struggle of like wondering, am I depressed, or are these just thoughts? Like, and I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't trust the medical system. I didn't want to tell my parents because it would make them very sad. I didn't want to tell my friends because it was embarrassing. So I relate to that for sure.
So yeah, you understand, what I'm saying when I said I'd be on the 3rd floor, and depending on the day, I'd either look down or up. I'd look down if I was thinking, what it'd be like if I just ended it all. I'd be looking up if I had a little bit more faith that day, and I would pray. So I would be 8, 9 years old. Yeah, from the age of 8, 9 years old, I prayed pretty much most days. And I think when you pray, and you believe, as I said, I'm not religious, right, per se. I've read all the religious texts and whatnot. But I think, I don't know, when you have faith in something bigger than yourself, and you don't need to necessarily define what that is right now, everything just becomes more, I don't know, like everything in our world is so like sterile, and it's so like, there's an explanation for everything, and it's just like, it's just fucking depressing in my eyes, right? Whereas like when you have faith in something bigger than yourself, it's, I don't know, like it gave me, I found some solace in it, and it made me like feel like an individual. And I also felt like a hero in my own story from a very early age because of that. So yeah, to answer your question of when did I acknowledge my existence, pretty early on.
So what was your first like epistemology, what did you grasp onto? I mean, you said you were praying. Was it like Christianity or Islam, or did you take any sort of moral code at a certain age?
No, simply just praying to God, praying to someone higher to protect me and my mom.
Yeah,
and that was it. That was the extent of it. At that point,
kind of what I would have imagined. Like, you became yourself out of necessity and struggle, and like, have to take care of myself, have to take care of my mom by any means necessary. You didn't need a framework really for, what to do with your life, because you were sort of forced. You had to.
Yeah, 100%.
Fat people. You called your own friend fat at dinner last night.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he needed to hear it. Because friends need to keep other friends accountable. And it's, yeah, I don't know. It's just, for me, I don't think it's acceptable. In the same way, I don't think it's acceptable if you, I don't know. Like, for me, like, I don't know, I want a holistic life. Like, I want to have my health in order. I want to have my health in order. I want to have my dating life in order. Like, in the same way, like, I've called out my friends when I'm like, your girlfriend, you're a slave to your girlfriend. And your girlfriend, like, like when guys have, had one-itis about a girl and, just let a girl walk all over them. I'm like, your girlfriend is disgusted by you. Like, I've literally told close friends of mine that their girlfriends are disgusted by them because they call, answer every women call, and, are there for them when they need it, which you should be for people that deserve it. But when someone doesn't deserve it, you most certainly should not be there for them when they need it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a very harsh person with my friends, but then, my friends are the same way with me. And I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do as well. I saw you do that last night. And I was like, damn, I need to do that to my friends. I mean, I'm like that to a lot of my friends, but some of them I think I could be a bit more. For me, I see friends that are doing like Adderall and working themselves at a difficult pace, and then they go and do like coke on the weekends, and I'm just like, I don't say anything, and I want to.
And also the other thing I'll say is it's like how close is the friend, and also how long has this been a persistent issue in their life, right? Because it's like first of all, if the person's not super close to me, I'm not gonna like give them that sort of candid unless they ask,
right?
And number two, if this is something that they're struggling with, and it's something that's been an issue for 6 months, like I'm not gonna have that sort of reaction. But when it's someone's been acknowledged that something is an issue and they've been trying for 5 years, then yeah, they need like the blow needs to be more severe, right? And the sort of wake up call needs to be more severe, so yeah.
We're talking about relationships. You mentioned dating already too, so why don't we go in there? I wanna talk about. I didn't know how much I wanted to talk about this, but the 2-year theory that you had. I've never heard it. It's not really I don't want to call it your theory, but it's just something that we talked about last night. And girls and dating in general, when you're like you, it's like, I don't know. I just want. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
So basically, what Arlin and I were discussing yesterday, I think basically you were saying that like, oh, you should. You basically were saying. I was saying that. So I'm 22 years old, and I personally think the prime for a girl for me, in terms of you get to enjoy their company, you get to enjoy the person, is 25 to 27. I'd say 24 to 27. Girls from 24 to 27 are in their prime to enjoy. Now you would then say,
why?
I'll get on to that. But you would say, or sort of your rebuttal to that is, yeah, but like, let's say for example, in your case, you're 25. Yeah, let's say they're 24 to 7. Like, let's say the girl's 26. Yeah, but if we date for 5 years, then she'll be 31. Well, and I'm like, no, but the point is you're not going to, are you stupid enough to think you're going to date them for 5 years? Of course you're not. And you're like, instead, that's why I should date 18-year-old, because then when I'm, 30, she's 23. And I'm like, bro, you're not going to fucking date this girl for 5 years. Don't be delusional. And second, why would you want to have a girl who's not in her, and you're like, I could build her up. I'm like, why would you want to build her up? Like, yeah, why? Right? Like, it's in the same way, like, let's say you wanted to have a business partner. It's like, okay, yeah, I could find someone who's got raw talent and build them up, as a business partner. It's like, okay, or you could just find the best of the best. Like, what would you rather have? Right? Yep. So it's, for me, why are girls in their prime from 24 to 27? They understand themselves sexually the most at that age, number one. I think a lot of them as well have gone through, not all, but I think a lot of them have gone through some of the hoeing around phase, right? Where they're like they don't want to go to the club. Like, I don't know. They're not as keen or excited to like go to the clubs. I think looks wise, that's their peak. They've realized what sort of makeup works best for me. They've realized, hey, probably actually less makeup is better. That's another thing I've realized with girls 24 to 27. Like, they usually actually use less makeup because they realize less is more. They've realized what style works best for me. They usually have much better fashion sense. Like, for me, I've just noticed 24 to 27 in terms of actually enjoying a woman, is the best sort of age. Now, I agree. If the next woman I date, let's say I have to marry her, I agree, then sure, whatever. I don't know how politically correct this is. Fine, sure. Well, whatever. My family is Eastern European, so in that world, it's not offensive at all. Sure, at that point, find a 17 or a 16-year-old. Cool, right? I get that, because then you've got a girl who's young and will still have the looks and this, and the fertility and all this and that. But I just think, in your specific case, you're not gonna date a girl for more than 2 years. It's not gonna happen, right? So
Mm.
why are you worrying about like, oh, let me find this 20-year-old? Like I told you, girls under the age of 22 are quite literally insufferable. They're insufferable. They're unbearable, right? Like I can't. Man, for me personally, I can't. I'm not gonna hold a conversation. You know, I have like guys like us. Look, we're not 49-year-olds who have just come out of their second divorce, have a wrinkly ball sack, right? And just have girls around us for money and need to listen to, you know, Sophia talk about like some stupid I'm not gonna I'm not gonna hang out with a girl if she's just like. Now bear in mind, I'm also not a snob. We don't need to talk about like, you know, I don't take myself too seriously either, right? But just, I don't know, for me personally, girls under the age of 22 are just very, very you know, unbearable to be around.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad we're talking about this because no one our age talks about it like this head on. Everyone who's in the space is like, you know, Rolla Tomasi, Rich Cooper. They're older. They've been through a marriage or two. No one's 22 and 25 discussing this raw and honestly. So
yeah, I mean the whole sphere is weird. I know all of them.
Yeah.
Like the whole sphere is just so backwards.
Yeah.
Like the whole PUA sphere, the whole like manosphere.
Yeah, I honestly think that some of the best answers come, like, yeah, it's good to watch, you know, male self-development content and learn from dating coaches and stuff, but the best comes from experience. Like, you get into that toxic relationship. I've been in there. You learn a lot. You can spot it immediately. You help your friends. You know, you date a girl who's treating you very well. You learn a lot through that. You have multiple girlfriends in some cases. Experience is the best teacher. You have any other thoughts on dating advice for the
I mean, I'd say, you know, with the manosphere, the whole PUA stuff, it's better to watch it than not watch it when you first start.
Yeah.
Here's what it is, and I mean, look, the other thing that I'll say, right, is it's like, the other thing I'll say is like, you know, even in my life, I've had people notice, they're like, oh, it seems so like, you know, I remember, I was actually with like another very big YouTuber and my business partner in Switzerland, and I was in Dubai, and it was just like, it was genuinely just a boys like business dinner, and we're there, and like, you know, 3 girls end up like coming to the table, and this big YouTuber is like, bro, like, where'd you learn this shit? Like one girl's coming over to, like, the other one's like, you know, just constantly eye fuck me from the other table, and then when I go to the bathroom, she stands up to go to the bathroom, cuts me off as I'm leaving, like, introduce yourself, like this one thing, and then like another girl who I bumped into, you know, met through another friend, just like this whole like thing, and he's like, bro, like, do you know these girls? I'm like, no clue, and he was like, how do you do this stuff? And I'm like, because it's, to me, it's just second nature at this point, but the reason it is because, you know, I was 16 years old, you know, using a fake ID to get into clubs. And at the end of the night, you know, I'd be walking home, or I'd take the bus home, right? Because I didn't have much money back then. And I'd be writing on the notes section of my phone, okay, what did I do right? And
I did the same thing.
Right? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? When I said this thing,
you still have those notes? React.
I probably do if I look back.
I have my reference experience notes.
Yeah, exactly. Reference experience, right? So my point is, like, I did that to the point now where it's like, dude, if you saw my game now, and by the way, this isn't, put me in a room of girls who don't know who I am, don't know my Instagram, don't know anything, right? Like, the number one thing in life is status, like, by far, right? The number one thing is status. Now, there's things that are sort of tied to that, and it also depends on what city you're in. Different cities, different things are of importance. In some cities, money is the number one thing. In other cities, clout is the other thing. There's clout, there's money, because you can have clout, but that doesn't mean you have status/power. In some cities, it's status/power. In some cities, it's sort of prestige, like family prestige or career prestige. And, you know, I think it's important to know in your city or whatever city you're going to, which one is important. So that's number one. Number two is, the reason I kind of said that whole story and everything like that is, for me now it's second nature. And basically, like, I've noticed every single year, my style of game is basically just like, I just talk less. Like, basically these days I just don't talk much, right? And I keep every year just getting more and more and more insane girls. But as much as I said, the PUA stuff is very backwards and the manosphere stuff is very backwards, that's where I started, like that. And I think that it can be very, very powerful. And I think just going out there and sort of, as Arlin said, getting those reference experiences, and it doesn't necessarily need to, mean, night game or day game. That literally just means like, hey, we all have the barbecue we get invited to, just being a lot more conscious about like speaking to new people at the barbecue and understanding, hey, when you say this thing, or maybe when you don't speak, like, here, the most powerful thing you can ever do for most people is just like, next time you go to dinner, consciously try to speak as little as possible and see how people's energy gets shifted towards you. Cause they're like, most people, when you're at like a dinner party or you're at like any sort of event or thing, but it's still intimate, like, you'll notice that, like, obviously everyone wants to chime in and everyone wants to like, add that next funny comment or this or that. And when you're the person who doesn't do that, everyone's kind of like, oh, like, why is this person so comfortable? Like, why does this person not need to say anything? And it immediately makes you, a lot more attractive. Mm-hmm. So I think, the best thing you can have, are those reference experiences, and instead you need to go out there, day game and stuff like that. Just, next time you're at a dinner party, just be more conscious of like, hey, let me try this new thing, or let me try to be more gregarious this time, or let me try to be less gregarious, or let me try to be more playful or less playful. Let me try, and just mix it up. And, you learn a lot about social dynamics that way. And then, after 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever, you just, it's just second nature to you.
Mm. What would you say to a young man watching this, 16 to 30, your number one piece of advice for dating?
Keep the pipeline full, have options. Like I always tell guys, like, if you're getting in a...
But hold on, easy to say when you're 6 feet tall, ripped, and worth $10 million at 22.
Yeah.
And have a house in Cape Town and Dubai and...
Yeah, I mean, fair. But also, like, people were like, oh, yeah, but I acted this way when I was 16, when I was 15. Like, I told my first ever girlfriend, I'm like, you'll never be as important to me as my business or my work. I didn't even have business at that time, Like, I was like, you'll never be as important to me as my work. So, you got to act like it before you become it.
Yeah.
And so my number one piece of advice would be, look, try to work on lead flow as much as possible, right? Wherever you can find them, whether that's day game, whether that's night game, whether that's, social circle, whether that's, dating apps, whatever it is you need to do, like, at that early stage, do it, and then work on yourself, right? Because, like, here's the thing that, like, sort of the red pill community, I don't think really, or I don't know, I think some guys don't really want to hear it. It's like, yeah, girls like being with winners. Like, sorry. Like, you can cry about it if you want. You can do whatever you want. Or, but girls like being with winners. Or if, you're not going to be the billionaire business guy, which, by the way, you really don't need to be, find what your thing is. I mean, the guys who sleep with the most amount of girls and the highest quality girls are all promoters. Like, those are the guys that get the most girls because of the proximity. So either you find, like, for me, like, I don't want, like, I have friends of mine who are like, dude, you could have, like, girls, like I don't like having girls around 24/7. Like, there's times where I'm like, I just want to be alone, man. Like, I'm just, like, I want some peace and quiet. Like, I don't constantly want all these women around me, right? Whereas with some guys, it's different, right? And I mean, the number one thing you can do for your dating life is proximity to women. And then it's just figuring out how do you actually accomplish that.
What are you excited about right now?
Definitely GCC, the NFT project. Because, like, there's so much that, So I've got my advertising agency. I've got my software company. They're very like vanilla companies, right? At my e-learning platform, I try to lace stuff in there. Like we have some detoxing stuff that doesn't seem like it should be important for business, for like, scaling your agency up, whether you're beginning or whether you're already like a veteran agency owner. But I still managed to sprinkle it in there. And like, my community is very awesome. We talk about a lot of stuff outside of business, but still I can't, like, dude, one of these days I will share exactly what I do in my, I mean, dude, I've done it all. I'll share exactly what I do in my dating life. I'll share exactly the stuff I've done in the past to literally automate. And by the way, I said, some guys like to go for quantity. I'm not really like that. I'm more a quality kind of guy. But dude, I've done it in the past where I've had 3 or 4 dates a week automated, like without ever even speaking to the girls, right? Like, I'd love to share all that stuff, but I can't really do that inside of my current existing company. We were talking the other day about, cigar etiquette. And, it took me a while to even learn proper cigar etiquette. So, having a cigar sommelier come in, and that's, when you're part of GCC, the NFT project, not only you're part of the mastermind, not only do you have all the crypto reports, which is how I've made a lot of my wealth, is in crypto. So not only do you have those, but you also have access to the vault, which is basically a custom portal that I built, and me and my team are building. And, in there, we've got all these extra bonus programs. So a 3-4 hour course on, that I'm just in the process of recording right now on watch investing. I have a $3 million watch collection with only putting how much? 1.8 million in or something like that. So, I made $1.2 million by wearing expensive watches. And pretty much most of those purchases were at retail. And, you try buying anything from Rolex or Patek or AP or, RM these days, and good luck, they're going to tell you to F off. So a course on that, a course on cigar etiquette, a course on, from a master sommelier on, how do you not, if you're on a date with a girl, how do you not embarrass yourself by having at least a rudimentary understanding of what wines to choose? I'd love to have someone to come in and teach fashion. People always ask me like, hey, like, people really like my fashion, even though my fashion is basically no labels and the class, just classic sort of stuff. Either myself or someone else, I'd love to have a stylist come in and just go, hey, without you, being a style icon, how do you just dress well, very effortlessly for guys? Basically, like, I want this to be a hub for the modern gentleman. And yeah, that's basically what we've accomplished at the moment. And, we're launching very, very soon. And it's, the first NFT project in history where we vet every single person who gets to mint, which is very unique. It's never been done before.
I will say going through the interview process it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. I don't even want to reveal too much about it, but it's just like from each touch point, it's just like, this is very, very well done. Yeah, I mean, on everything you just said, like, the cigar etiquette, from the style to the dating optimization, you've figured out so much at 22, yet without having a father figure. How did you figure all this out, really? Like, from the cigar etiquette to the how to dress.
I think everything's different. So for example, with the cigar stuff, is like, man, just so much YouTube. But
okay. Yeah.
So much YouTube, so much, as I'm going to cigar lounges, because especially here in London,
Just pick up on it, yeah.
asking questions, etc. For example, even with wine, I have what I would consider to be a very basic knowledge. I'm still learning a lot, but my business partner, my software company, he's Swiss. So, even the the ball that we're drinking today, I asked him before, we were on a call, just a couple hours ago, I asked him about the wine, and Pierre literally knows everything about, every ball ever made. He's really is a wine expert. So different things, asking different people when it comes to, for example, my fashion sense, a lot of it is like the girls in my life, you know. I always say I have a type. I have a strong type, which is rich girls. Like basically, if I look at the girls I date, it's either girls from family money. And it's funny. I've had people on social media before. I've said that. I responded to that in a Q&A, and it annoyed people. And I'm like, I don't know why that. Why that would annoy you. It's like that's like if a famous person is like, I only like dating famous people. It's like, well, yeah, because they understand what it's like, right? I only like dating, girls who either come from family money or, for example, I have an ex-girlfriend of mine who, she doesn't, comes from a very not wealthy family, but makes $500,000 a year herself. So you never have to worry about are they with me for the right reasons?
Mm-hmm.
And even with the girls from the wealthy families, it's like, cool, first class, flying first class to Maldives for a little trip. That's fun, but that's not her dad's private jet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, funny enough, when it comes to clothes, or fashion sense, a lot of it is just feedback from women, the women in my life. And just over the years, I've basically just eradicated any brand from anything I wear. So yeah, different things you just pick up from different places. But I mean, man, it would have been so nice to just shortcut all of that crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always said, even before I had money, I was like, there needs to be a guide on how to be rich. Like even now, like I'm trying to learn from like wealthier friends of mine, and I'm picking stuff up on like how to correctly have a personal assistant. I've had an assistant now for 2 years, but I'm still learning like the right way to utilize her and all this stuff. So I always said I wish there was a guide growing up on how to be rich, and I think I'd love for Gents Croquet Club really to be that guide for men on, hey, you may not be wealthy right now, but let's show you the things to get you there, and once you're there, let's show you how to act wealthy, how to make sure you stay wealthy, and really the big thing as well is how to utilize your money in the best way. Because man, I see a lot of people who make a lot of money, but they don't actually utilize it in the correct way to add the biggest benefit to their life.
So GCC, Gents Croquet Club, is essentially the guide for how to be rich. Also, how to get rich, stay rich.
How to get rich, stay rich, act rich, actually get the benefits of being rich.
What do you think is the number one or several mistakes that wealthy people make?
Wealthy or rich?
Rich.
Okay, yeah, much better. They don't know how to. They know how to make money. They don't know how to keep money and how to make that money work for them. Yeah, like true, like wealth is not making $50 million a year and spending $45 million a year, or even $50 million a year. True wealth is earning $1 million a year passive from your investment portfolio, no matter what, and then still having your and then still having your business or your whatever still provide you even more income on top of that, or be the thing that drives your investment portfolio even further, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, like the thing that rich people don't know how to do is like, and I was rich at some point, and now I would consider myself, I don't know if I consider myself wealthy, but I act wealthy. I could stop working tomorrow, and I guess it kind of depends on the day, between my watches and my crypto, which are watch crypto. I have a couple sort of exotic investments. I have a Birkin collection, so that doesn't actually fluctuate that much compared to the watches and the crypto, and some cash. So it kind of depends on the day, but for the most part, if I stop working tomorrow, I'd make around $1 million to $1.5 million a year, just passive from my investment portfolio. And to me that's super cool, and I'd love to get to a point where that's $3 million a year. So yeah, I wouldn't consider myself wealthy, but I act like it, and I'm on my way to get into that club, which is $50 million plus. And I know it's technically $30 million plus to be like ultra high net worth, but I think once
I
you're
think it's only 13.
no, it's 30.
It's 30.
Yeah, to be ultra high net worth,
Yeah.
it's 30. But yeah, I think like you need to be at least 50 to kind of get into the big boy leagues. Yeah.
Something tells me too that, I mean, I know there's some heavy hitters already in Gents Croquet Club, but I think a bit of your motivation to it is, and tell me if it's otherwise, but that you want to kind of get other guys on your level.
Yeah.
Like it is a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And you want to share how, I mean, I look at, I'm like, dude, how did you do this? I think a lot of guys look at you and are like, how did you do that? And I think that maybe there's part of you that's like, well, let me show you.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also like, yeah, it's 100% that. And I've kind of always said, like, I think my duty in life, I feel like my duty in life is, three things. Number one, make an aggressive amount of money and then show people how to do that. Number two, or like these are three things I feel like I need to teach: money, and I've done that. I've been helping people through GYA. Of course, we have our crowd that are individuals who are making 20, 30K a month and want to get to where our agency's been at very comfortably for the past 3, almost 4 years now, at $100,000, $150,000 a month profit. So yeah, we have that crowd. That's not really so much that, but then we have the people who we help go from 0 to 10K a month within 90 days, 120 days, et cetera, and build really more of a lifestyle business. And man, I've helped thousands and thousands and thousands of people do that, tens of thousands, probably even hundreds of thousands, between my YouTube videos over the years and stuff like that. So I feel as though I wouldn't say I'm there yet necessarily, but I feel as though I'm almost coming towards the end of that, of like, I kind of fulfilled that and I did that and I left my mark there. And I'm very proud of what I did and what I've done and what we're currently doing at that company. I don't know how I would do it. And to be honest, I would never sell a program on it. But like, man, I really, really do want to help people in their dating life somehow. Attract more women, attract higher quality of women. And the other thing is retain women. And the other thing is, like, for me, I know it probably sounds a little toxic. Like, for me in my life, like, sleeping with women is not a challenge, like, in the slightest. For me, the fun is having them hooked for years. And I know that sounds a little toxic and I should probably work on it. But, when you have like really high quality women, right? Like the sort of women who have billionaires, Formula One drivers, celebrities, like, everyone under the sun chasing them, and they just want you. And they're like, and you go abroad, I leave Dubai or I leave London or I leave whatever other city, and I come back and 6 months later, they're like, yeah, I've just been waiting. Like, I've been on a couple of dates with some guys, but like, they're not you. Like, so I've just been waiting, and like giving you that loyalty. Like for me, that's what I want to teach guys as well. Right. And then also even just how to have beautiful relationships. Like, I've had some very, very amazing relationships, and, I might make it sound like I like just, going on tears and stuff like that. No, I think a good relationship with a good woman is such an incredible thing to have. And I've been very lucky and very blessed to have that in my life. So yeah, as I said, I feel like that's, and, that'll be definitely a part of GCC. And then the last thing I want to do in this life is I want to help people get over trauma and like really deal with really do deep healing work, and really find inner peace. And these two I've done. Like, these two I can speak fully from experience. This one I've done a lot of work, but I need to do this for myself, and then I can teach it. And I haven't done that yet. But these two, I can help. You could be, I don't care what you look like. I don't care what situation you're in. I don't care what the kids in your college tell you, or, like, the other thing is, like, I sit here today, but bear in mind, like, dude, in school, I had no friends. Like, it's not like I was like this big, like, macho man in school, like, blah, blah. Like, the kids in school used to make fun of me because I was like fucking running a business and I had no friends in school. And, there was always a funny story. My best friend, Felipe, always likes to tell this because, side note, one of my other friends from school, like, I basically only had 2 friends in school. She was like, yeah, the best stock you could have invested in was being nice to Iman in school. Because now the two people who were actually not even like nice to me, like treated me like a human being, right? And that's one of the other reasons as well, is like I am the most polite person to a waiter. I'm like super polite to waiters. I'm super polite to people in general. Like the past few days I've been super sick. So, when you're super sick, all you want to do is like, crawl in a hole and not talk to anyone. So a little bit less so the past few days you've been here. But like, I like to start conversations, ask Uber drivers how their day, is, and like, really just make people who feel so unseen in their life seen. So yeah, reason I say all that stuff is because, like, look, in school, I was like, don't think that I was like the cool kid in school. I was quite literally the fucking opposite. Like, I was the weirdo that was like reading books, and I would be in the school bathrooms meditating, right, to get some like grounding.
Do you have any pictures of yourself from that era?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
we can flash those on the screen.
Yeah, we'll throw it on screen.
Weird Iman.
No, but I mean, you can look at just go look at my YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel and then
insert.
Arrange by oldest. I was uploading videos at 15, 16.
Yeah.
Like, I was uploading videos of me taking the bus to go to Bricks and Bookmongers because I couldn't afford to pay $15 for a brand new book. So at Bricks and Bookmongers, it was like a used bookstore. So for $2.50 or $2 or $3, I could get a used book. So that way I could get 5 books for the same price as one new one at Waterstones. So you can see all that stuff. And like, you can see me in 2016. I'm like, my goal this year, and I thought it was like the craziest goal ever. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was like, my goal this year is to make 15K. Like, if I make 15,000 this year, not month, year, I'll be so proud of myself and all this stuff. So
it was recorded?
All this stuff is recorded.
Sick.
Everything. You look back at everything, from 2015, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, kind of tying it all together. It's like, I don't want you to sit here and, think that, I'm any different to you. No, I'm like, I'm where you were. Just, I started reading a book when I was 14. So like, it's coming up on, it's like 8 years now that I've been acting this way. Right. And I've been carrying myself this way. And, things go a very, very, very far away, a very long way in 8 years. So I think I can take anyone. I don't care how short you are, what you look like. Within 2 to 3 years, like, you will be, everyone around you will respect you, right? Like, they will respect you, and they will, they'll hold, a deep reverence for you as a person. And yeah, it's just about putting one foot forward in front of the other.
I think GCC it's basically a respect machine.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I could say to you, like, you are one of the guys I respect the most. And that's one of the reasons that I think GCC is very exciting to bring, all these guys together that everyone already respects, and then just build that pyramid. It's going to be very, very cool. Anything else we haven't talked about? We like the call to action would be like, if you want to be a part of it, try to get in because it is exclusive.
Yeah, you can book in a discovery call if you want. There's an application, and you're gonna have to turn on your camera and speak to one of my gatekeepers, and doesn't guarantee that you get whitelist. And that's about it. We're very unapologetically selective. Doesn't mean you won't get in, but we're like, most NFT founders, will accept anyone. And, if you want to mint 3, they'll let you mint 3. And no, like in ours, you're only allowed to mint for the, there's 2 tiers. There's the inner circle, which is 5, and that's an even more stringent round of vetting. So yeah, most founders will just want to extract as much money as possible. Like, I kind of made my money. So, for me, it's more about like really honoring the sort of culture that we've already built, and we're just at the beginning now. Like, it hasn't even launched. It's really just about honoring that culture that we've already built within our community.
You've mentioned a bit to me, at least I've overheard you saying it a couple times here, about your plan for a semi-mini retirement. Tell us a bit about that, and like 1, 2, or 3 things that you really are looking forward to doing
So yeah,
in your
basically
20s?
semi retirement is like I'm just limiting myself to work 20 hours a week,
Okay.
right? So I'm allowed to work 20 hours a week, and basically I guess it's just kind of setting some constraints around my life in that sense. Because I'm in this cool position, like, because everyone is like, I will work, and then in my 40s I'm gonna retire, and it's like, why? That's so that's so boring. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I get it. Actually, I will say that's a very unself-aware thing to say. Not everyone's in our position. Like, we are in a very unique position, and not everyone. Most people are in their like grind phase in their 20s or 30s. But if you are lucky enough, like we are, where obviously I mean, look, we have so much farther to go, but we have reached some level of success, and especially once you can kind of build it up enough of a nest egg. My investment portfolio pays for my lifestyle. Then I've still got my, I don't plan on next year. Next year I plan on hitting 8 figures profit just in the businesses, which would be the first time ever, right? This year I still plan on doing $5 to $6 million from the businesses. So it's not like I plan on slowing down at all. And that's the other thing is once you get to a certain point in your career, it's not about you anymore. Like everyone who I've hired, like I actually faced this weird, like I faced this earlier actually in January. I was like sitting down at my desk and I was like, cause I was always the deep focus work guy. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was always the like, get up, go to the gym, shower, meditate, sit at my desk, work 5 hours, distraction free. And I got to my desk, and this is like in January, and I was like, I got to my desk to do my deep focus work, and I was like, I got nothing to do. Because I've hired everyone who's better than me at the specific, so like everything's been taken off my shoulders, you know. As I said, I'm in a cool position where I'm like, let me limit myself to 20 hours a week of work, so that way I can just spend more time being present. And things I look forward to is just getting a lot better at tennis, right? Like I only learned how to play tennis in like 2018. Once I started making some money, or 2017, I like hired a tennis coach. Like, dude, I went skiing for the first time in my life 5 months ago when I was nearly 22, right? Like growing up in the UK, like skiing is like a rich person thing. Like I couldn't afford to ski when I was younger. So like I want to learn how to ski well. Like I want to like, I don't know. There's just so many things. There's so many life things that I can pick up on now that will carry through with me for the rest of my life. And when I'm 40, and I don't plan on slowing down as well. Like in the business or like in my businesses, like I don't plan on like, my businesses just, sort of teetering, falling off and then eventually dying, but it's fine because I've got my investment nest egg to live off of. Like I still plan on, crushing it in the world of business. But I think that, putting certain constraints in place in regards to my time, but still being there as a present leader for my team. And I'll probably be more of a present leader for my team, in semi-retirement than I am now when I'm running and gunning. I've got so many different projects while I don't have while I don't have much necessarily to do in terms of sit down, deep focus work. I have so much on my plate. And I'm having to divide my attention and focus between all these different things. So yeah, this is, I mean, who knows, maybe, we'll be sat here in 2 years time and I'm like, man, that was a dumb experiment, but, it's an experiment I'm going to try.
Yeah. Well, on that note, let's go listen to some jazz.
Ronnie Scott's it is.
Cool. Guys, I am ANGADZHI on Instagram.
Yep.
Iman Gadzhi on Twitter. Gadzhi Ilman on Twitter.
Yeah.
Iman Gadzhi on YouTube. My recommendation is to just go watch a lot of his other interviews as well after this one, because as you guys can tell, he's just figured a lot out and more. I mean, I listen to a lot of. I'm sure a lot of people listening is probably listening to a lot of self-development. If you want to save a lot of time, just go listen to Iman and just consume the content and soak it in, and you'll save a lot of time and you'll have more peace in your life and you'll do things that are practical. And yeah, if you want to try to get into GCC, you can sign up for a call with one of the gatekeepers and potentially become a part of what I think is the coolest project in that's happening in 2022 right now. And maybe go smoke a cigar and speak less, and make sure you get your vaccine.
Boom. Well said.
Okay, let's do it. Thank you guys for watching, for listening. If you'd like to find any of the links mentioned in this episode or learn more about Iman, then go to hoo.be/IMANGADZHI. If you'd like to apply to Gents Croquet Club, go to gentscroquetclub.com.